But then Hot saw the guards running from the king. Time for plan B. Hot's head swung to Sophie. She wet his face. Sophie sprinted in front of the guards and seized Ryan from behind, crushing his stomach with both arms again and again until the king coughed up the nuts with such force that they slammed the hole in the glass and flew out into the clean air. Blue-faced, Ryan heaved for breath as Sophie thrummed on his spine. He yanked away from her. "You poisoned me, you witch!" he whispered, spotting the crack in the window. "You put something in my tea." Sophie flashed that innocent look that Hot knew so well. "Poisoned you, and here I thought I saved your life." Doubled over, Ryan shook his head. "It was you. I know it was you." "Wouldn't the guard on the stage have seen it then?" Sophie slashed. "Wouldn't my steward's slimy little ewe?" The king turned his head to the guard, who said nothing. Hot's scream gave a confused burble. "If I wanted you dead, I'll have let you strangle yourself," Sophie hatched. "Instead, I rescued you, and you have the nerve to accuse me." Ryan searched at her face. He glanced at Hot, who made his move. "Not to overstep my bounds, sir," said Sophie's steward. "But the real question is, who made the tea?" Ryan eyed him narrowly. "Japheth brought it from the kitchens," he said, still sweating. He swiveled to a guard. "Ask him who made it. Whoever made the tea, bring them here, and I'll whip out their throats." "I made it," said the voice. Ryan, Hot, and Sophie raised their eyes. Japheth posted in security at the entrance to the throne room. "And I made it exactly how you like it," he said. "And you didn't notice something in it?" Ryan blasted. "Something big enough to kill me?" Japheth's blue eyes chilled. "First, you induced that witch. Then you let the prisoner free. And now I'm trying to kill you with your tea." "Accidents happen," his brother thumped. "Especially accidents that will make you king." "That's right. Such a good sniff." Japheth sneered. "Such a good king." The two brothers glared daggers at each other. "Think I'll skip this morning's festivities," said Japheth. He exited the room, his boots cracking on tile. A hot, warmy tension stayed behind. Hot picked at his moment. One last move. "See, William and Borden were right," Hot whispered to Sophie, but loud enough for one to hear. "They said the king would die before the blessing." "Don't be an imp," Sophie scoffed, catching his drift. "First of all, the king didn't die. Second, it was a silly accident. And third, just because William and Borden had had a few lucky guesses doesn't mean they're harbingers of doom. Now go fetch the carriage. I'll bring Ryan." "Wait," said the king. Hot and Sophie turned in perfect stitch. Ryan straightened, his shadow casting over them. "Gus, bring William and Borden from the dungeons," he ordered. "They'll ride with us too." Sophie clasped at her chest. "William and Borden? Are you sure?" Ryan didn't answer, already stalking out of the hall. Sophie hurried up behind him, snapping at her steward to follow. And as she did, her eyes met his for silver of a moment. Not long enough of Ryan or a scream to notice, but long enough for Hot to see Sophie wink at him as if he had earned his place at her side. Hot brushed in his heart, chasing after his mistress. At last, her whistle had come. Sophie, Empress under the boots. As Sophie followed the Ryan, Hot trailing behind her, she could feel her heart rumbling like a drum. The whistle had done well, but until Tedros was back on the throne, their work was far from done. She needed to talk to Hot alone, but there was no chance of that. Not with Ryan riding with them to the blessing, and that demanded you on Hot's neck. Sophie glimpsed at the horses through the window, pulling the royal carriage up the drive. Useless. No time to think. She made her move, lurching back and grabbing on to Hot's sweaty hand, ignoring his stunned expression. She had never held a whistle's hand before. Who knew where that hand had been? But these were desperate times. Tattooed figure held the door open for the king as the carriage arrived. Wisely is fetching those boys from the dungeons as you ordered it, sir, he said, armor glinting in the sunlight. Will you need a second carriage? The king didn't break stride. We'll all fit in one. Don't be ridiculous. A queen can't arrive at her first wedding events padded like a sand dune. Hot and I can ride alone. Sophie scoffed, barreling past the king, dragging Hot like a scolded child, and throwing him into the carriage that hadn't fully stopped. She fumbled in behind him, grabbing on to his rump to steady herself, and smiled back at Ryan. See you at the church. Pretending to lose her balance, she whipped the Hot scream off like a strip of hot wax and flung it out the carriage door. Oh dear, she wept, before slamming the door shut. We're 5 seconds before he opens this door, Sophie intoned. Good news is I got Ryan and Drapath fighting, Hot said, breathless. Evil news, Ryan is still alive, Drapath is still his brother, and I'm still marrying a monster, said Sophie.